Let's start the podcast. How's everyone doing in podcast land? I'm your host, Cliff Jacks. Welcome to another edition of Off the Cliff Sports. Everyone always wants to make a splash. Everyone wants to be the talk of the town. We all need to remember, nobody is bigger than the game. Jason Witten, who would have ever thought? We're going to get to Jason Witten a little later on in this podcast. I want to thank all my listeners. I appreciate you guys. Without you, there's no me. Everyday Cliff, I want to thank all the Everyday Joes, Everyday Janes out there. This podcast is for all of us. I appreciate it. Thank you. Please, OfftheCliff-Sports.podbean.com, at Cliff_Sports on Twitter. The Instagram account is OfftheCliff_Sports. We've been posting a lot of things lately on there, some videos. Also, if you want to email me, OfftheCliff-Sports@gmail.com. And we're also at OfftheCliff-Sports on Tumblr. What a week. What a lot of events that have occurred. There's so much going on right now. Normally it's just hockey and basketball getting ready for playoffs, but the good old NFL always wants to put his head in other people's business. And of course, it's spring training for Major League Baseball. They have like 2 months of spring training. If you can't get prepared in 2 months, what are we doing? We're going to first get into what we're going to talk about later on in the show. One thing for sure, we're going to talk about the NFL, its rules. Are they flawed? Are they in favor of some people and not in favor of others? Mr. Randy Gregory has been suspended again. A guy that I was trying to take up for in a conversation I was having, Mr. Adam Jones, has been arrested again inside of a casino. When will the athlete ever learn? There are certain ways you got to move when you're an athlete. The one thing I can say about the Tom Brady's, the LeBron James of the world, you never hear about them in incidents. They move the right way. Randy Gregory has a problem with a herbal substance, and it's gotten him suspended indefinitely from the NFL. I spoke with my friend A-Train, who I'm going to play that for you a little later on, and we had a little discussion about why does he get suspended for something where he didn't harm another individual other than himself, per se, and other players in the league who are doing stupid things, hitting women, getting in accidents, getting arrested. They still have multiple shots in the league. We're going to talk about it. We'll see how you guys think about it. I think it is kind of one-sided, but of course I believe Roger Goodell has his favorites. If you're in his favorite bucket, you get treated a certain way. If it's a guy he think he can do without, you get treated another way. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. Also, on tap, we're going to talk about the Alliance of American Football League. 3 weeks running strong. So far, the product has been pleasing. Of course, there are things that could be better. One, I think the NFL kind of has its hand in the pot cookie jar a little bit, which I would prefer it didn't. But you have some good things going on with that league, and I think it has some staying power unless the XFL comes in and knocks it out the water. One thing we're going to know, we're going to figure out who has the bigger pockets once the XFL kicks off next year. One of the two won't make it. Like I said last week, we can have 2 professional football leagues, but we can't have 3. I don't see how that would work out unless there's a merger down the line somewhere. Remember, you heard it on Off the Cliff Sports first, a merger of those leagues below the NFL. We're also going to talk later on about the Los Angeles Lakers and King James. I'm putting the Lakers season at a Defcon level 3 right now. I'm not going to go to Defcon 5 because coming into the year, I didn't think they had a chance to win a championship this year, so why put so much on it? But we are going to go to Defcon 3. I'm going to get you ready for that a little bit later as well. Don't go too far. We got a lot of other things to talk about, and we're going to get heavy into some things today. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports. Stay tuned. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports. I'm your host, Cliff Jacks. It looks like Major League Baseball is throwing money around like it's paper towel. Last week, of course, I told you we had a gentleman, Manny Machado, signed a 10-year, $300 million contract, all guaranteed money. Well, this week we had a Colorado's Rocky player sign an 8-year, $260 million contract, only to be topped by Mr. Bryce Harper, who signed a 13-year, $330 million contract with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies said it's time for them to get back in the game, and I guess this splash definitely will put them back in the game. Philadelphia did sign 4 or 5 players before signing this contract, and they actually are building a pretty solid team, and they're going to definitely compete in the National League this year. Andrew McCutchen, who's a pretty good outfielder, David Robertson, a solid reliever. So that team is one to be reckoned with this year. Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, be on the lookout because Philadelphia is coming. It's amazing that baseball owners can sign these contracts because when you look at baseball stadiums, here in Texas, for example, weekday games are not that full when you go out to the ballpark. I mean, to me, I think I see maybe 5, maybe 10,000 people during weekday games. It's really easy to get tickets to. But games on the weekend, now those games will bring in bigger crowds, of course. It's the weekend. But it's amazing the amount of money that these owners throw around. And Bryce Harper, he's only 26 years old and has a $330 million bank account right now. Amazing. Kids, stick with baseball. I know it's hot in the summertime and it's a slow-paced game, but at the end of the day, baseball, you don't get hurt as much, and the money is bigger at the end. Wow. $300 million. We've had $1 billion in baseball contracts divvied out to 3 players in the last 2 weeks. That's crazy. Mama, why you didn't make me play baseball or stay in baseball? All right, we're going to move on to everybody's favorite sport. Okay, some of our favorite sport, the NBA. The season is trickling down slowly but surely. Golden State is on top of the West, but only by half a game over the Denver Nuggets. Surprising. I still just don't think Denver's going to have what it takes in the playoffs. Playoff basketball changes from regular season. So the high-octane offense they play with now, in the playoff, you're going to have some grinded-out games. It's going to be, the officials are going to let more get away. So Denver would definitely have to change their game a little bit in the playoffs. I just don't see them doing it. If they're in different sides, I still have Oklahoma City and Golden State playing to go to the finals. The eastern side, I'm going with the Toronto Raptors. We the North, as they like to say. They don't have to worry about LeBron James stopping them or turning them into baby dinosaurs. they can actually stay full-size dinosaurs. Milwaukee is leading the East, but I think once it comes to the 7-game series, I'm gonna go Kawhi Leonard and that long team he has. They have a very long team. They can deflect a lot of passes, get in a lot of passing lanes. I'm going with Toronto over Milwaukee. Boston, there's something wrong with Boston right now. Kyrie Irving has upset the whole locker room. Gordon Hayward, they're paying him money to play 25 minutes a game. That team is just in disarray. So I don't think they're doing anything in the playoffs. But hey, I'm just an everyday Joe, or everyday Cliff rather. So what do I know? Maybe I'm wrong. Then again, maybe I'm right. The NFL Combine kicked off today with measurements and everything for the players that have been asked to come to the Combine. And the most talked about player, of course, Kyler Murray. He measured in at 5 foot 5 feet 10 inches. If Kyler Murray is 5 feet 10 inches, then I should have been 6'5" and playing in the NBA. I just don't see it. When you look at him, I mean, he looks maybe 5'7", but I don't know. Maybe they put some extra socks in his shoes. I don't know what they did. 5'10". I do not see Kyler Murray being that tall. Just a little bit about the schedule. Friday for the Combine, which by the time you hear this, Friday will be over. But you have the offensive lineman and the running back scheduled for Friday. Saturday, depending on when you listen to this podcast, quarterbacks and wide receivers. So hopefully you guys listen early Saturday morning when it drops at 8 a.m. Central Time is when the podcast is released. So please join in and listen early with your breakfast, with your workout. When your wife has you in the mall and you don't want to listen to what she's saying, you can put on the podcast. Check it out. Man, oh man, oh man. It's time for our top of the cliff segment. And I have a very special guest that I'm going to bring up to the top of the cliff with me. Again, what you do when you get to the top of the cliff, that's your decision. But I got to bring you up here because, hey, nobody is bigger than the game. Owner of the New England Patriots, Mr. Robert Kraft, go ahead and join me at on the top of the cliff. Mr. Kraft was charged with soliciting prostitutes in a spa in Jupiter, Florida. Mr. Kraft is a billionaire. Mr. Kraft owns the New England Patriots. Why would you be in a spa in Jupiter, Florida looking for happy endings? Let's just be honest. When you're a billionaire, you almost can get pretty much anything you want. If you want a lady friend, most likely you can get that because of the fact that you are a billionaire. So there are other ways that you can accomplish, I guess we'll say, what Mr. Kraft was trying to accomplish. I'm guessing what he was trying to accomplish. And going to a spa where you're out in public and not in the confines of your surroundings probably is not the best place to do it at. Mr. Kraft, you have a lot of players on your team. You have a lot of players who probably have experience in courting young ladies. You probably should have asked a couple of them. Because right now, you're helping to put a blacker image on the NFL than it already has. Now, what's going to be interesting is to see how the other 31 owners and Commissioner Goodell is going to come down on Mr. Kraft. If this was a player, he would already be suspended until further notice. So how are things going to work out in this situation? Roger Goodell, you're on the clock. Mr. Kraft, come to the top of the cliff with me. And whatever you decide to do up there is your business. You're a billionaire. If you need some advice, my services are available. Just give me a call or reach me OfftheCliff-Sports at gmail.com. I'll respond to you. Trust me. When we come back, we're going to get into some NFL rules and do we have a flawed system? Okay, who am I joking? We know it's a flawed system. Stay with me. Off the Cliff Sports shall return. Cliff Jacks back at you. Before we get into our next topic, I want to let everyone out there know that once we hit 65 followers on Twitter, and that Twitter handle is at Cliff with 2 F's _sports. Once we hit 65 followers, we're going to give away a gift card. We'll do some type of a drawing or pool for an actual gift card just to say thank you. And one of those lucky followers will get that gift card. So make sure you're listening. Make sure you're telling your friends, your co-workers, your significant others, and your siblings. Listen to Off the Cliff Sports podcast. It's beneficial. Getting into the NFL rules, and mainly Mr. Randy Gregory, Dallas Cowboy defensive player. He has been suspended indefinitely from the league for violating the substance abuse policy, mainly smoking the weed. And I have heard some other people say possibly some other drugs as well. This is Randy's fourth chance to get things right. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. Some people say, hey, this thing is a mental illness. You can't always control how things happen. And I understand mental illnesses and all, but it seems like to me once you start getting help, you got to keep that help or that support system going. It's not like he doesn't have the money where he can keep that support system going to try to keep him on the right track. It seems to me like he possibly goes get the help he needs, stops seeing that help, and gets back to where he can get in a place to damage his career. We may be seeing Randy Gregory playing in the AAF or the XFL, possibly. Now, I did talk to my good old buddy A-Train about this, so take a listen to our conversation, and by all means, comment about it. Let me know what you think about our conversation. Do you like his point of view? Do you prefer my point of view? Or do you have your own point of view? Take a listen. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening in to Off the Cliff Sports. As we've been talking about Randy Gregory, A-Train wanted to call up because his opinion's a little different than mine. A-Train, so from what I'm hearing, you think Randy Gregory is getting shafted.
Yes. And I say this because there are still players in the league who have done way worse, who have harmed others, hurt women, they're doing hardcore drugs, all these accusations and things that they've been found guilty of, but yet this man is getting kicked out of the league indefinitely for smoking marijuana.
But this is opportunity number 4, right?
It is, but it's still not nothing that's tarnishing the league, hurting him or anyone. It shouldn't be anything he get kicked out indefinitely for.
But he gets reinstated after a year, just like Josh Gordon, right?
But he still. Well, see, the issue is they have a deeper issue with marijuana that's not being addressed, and the league keeps harboring on they're just smoking weed. They're not harboring on fixing their actual issues. So the behavior gonna continue if you ain't fixing the issue. So.
But if the NFL says no weed, then you should not smoke weed. And it seems like Randy Gregory, if he's getting help, he's doing it part-time instead of keeping going like a lot of people that go to AA. You go to AA, but you need to continue through it to build yourself. and it doesn't seem like he's building.
I can't say that he's not building because I don't know him personally, but I will say there's no perfection in getting over something. So you're going to have times when you struggle, and the NFL will catch him in a struggling time, and they make him out to be that's who he is as a person, which that's not necessarily true.
He has all off season where he could do what he needs to do and not mess with his paper. And he's continually messing with his paper, the paper for his family, because he's doing stupid things, in my opinion. I mean, if it's smoking weed or making millions, I'm going to choose them millions. And in the off season, what I do is what I do.
Now, yeah, I will say, he got a man up on that front, but you got to think about this. This is it. He in the NFL. He's under 25. He has mind of someone that's under 25, and he has some issues. He's on the big stage. Dallas is a huge stage. There's a lot to deal with for somebody like that. So
I can't agree. Mental health is a bigger topic, and in the black community, I know it wasn't talked about years ago like it is now. So I got that point. But you made a statement about one of my semi-favorite players the other day. You were saying something about Pac-Man Jones is still in the league.
Yeah, man. Pac-Man Jones in the league, and this man has been arrested. I don't know how many times over his entire career, but he still keeps getting chance after chance. He has hit people, hurt people, all this stuff. Now I like Pac-Man, and he got issues too that he needs help with. And like you said, in the black community, we don't do that. So, what I'm saying, these things, we look at it as this something he can just fix on his own, which clearly is not, because he keep getting arrested. But if he keeps getting chance after chance and he isn't banned from the league or kicked out of the league, why would you do this to this under 25-year-old who ain't hurting nobody? He just smoking some weed. Now I'm not saying it's right, but he just smoking weed, and you can kicking him out. Come on, that's wrong.
I mean, I personally think Pac-Man was getting shafted back in the day because Roger Goodell was trying to set an example. So some of the things that happened in his past, I don't think he should have got punished for like he did, but that's just my opinion.
Now, Roger Goodell wasn't the reason he was getting arrested.
No.
Pac-Man Jones is out there fighting security.
But we talking about what happens, the league's punishments, not the criminal punishment.
Exactly. So he's doing actual criminal offenses and not getting any league punishment, but yet this other man who is not doing criminal. Gregory wasn't getting arrested. I don't think he hasn't been arrested since he's been in the league. He just got caught smoking weed. So, but he getting kicked out. That just don't make no sense, man.
I did hear on Wednesday that unfortunately one of his teammates, David Irvin, is possibly about to get suspended also. What is it with this Dallas Cowboy culture that's causing them all these problems?
I don't think it's the Cowboys culture. It's just these are young men. These are young individuals. They have come into a lot of money. Both of these individuals haven't had that type of money or exposure or fame. And it's something new, and most of us, we've never experienced that, nor we never will. And I haven't myself either, but I've been close to people who have, and I will say that's a lot to take on. So we as fans, we look at it from, man, you blessed, you getting all this money, you should do right. But if you're not the person that's dealing with the ins and outs every day, you don't understand the pressure that they're going to and how they choose to cope with it, which unfortunately the league don't agree with. Which okay. But they don't mean kick them out. Try to help them out. They're young men. So.
All right, I got some questions for you about the AAF. So we're going to get to those questions here in a second. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports. So, the Alliance of American Football League. 3 weeks in, I would say at this point it's a success, but only time will tell if it has staying power. One thing that may get viewership up, Johnny Manziel was cut from the Canadian Football League a couple days ago, and there's rumors that he is going to work out for some AAF teams. The quarterback play for some of these teams, Johnny Manziel, is way, way, way better. There's some trash quarterbacks in the AFL, and I wish whoever's in charge would go ahead and say, hey, I need to give some young guys some try, give some other guys a try, and see if they can get this thing to another level. We're going to see what Johnny Manziel can do. I've also noticed we have a lot of ex-NFL players in the AAF. There are some names that you'll recognize, some names that you may not. One name, Trent Richardson, ex-running back. He is being talked about. He's scoring a lot of rushing touchdowns. Now, me personally, a lot of his touchdowns are coming 2-yard run, 3-yard run, 4-yard run. I haven't seen him like break away where he's taking it for 20, 30 yards. So I don't see a wow effect from him, but he actually is doing what he needs for his team to succeed. That's a good thing. There are some players that are making their name and trying to get their stock up where, hey, come NFL training camp, they could be possible quarterbacks or possible players, that can be heard from. Little running back Juwan Gardner from the San Diego Fleet. He has broken a lot of big runs and showing flashes of possible NBA talent. The Arizona Hotshots have a wide receiver, Rashad Ross, who is looking pretty good. He did play in the NFL at one point in time. So those are just to name a few. I see a lot of good things on the defensive side. I see a lot of defensive players who could be in some rotations in the NFL. I did talk to, again, my buddy A-Train, which you heard him discuss. We discussed the NFL and the Randy Gregory situation. He also had some points about the AAF, and we chatted about that a little bit. Take a listen. All right, A-Train. So, staying with football, since I know you played back in college, the Alliance of American Football League. Three weeks in, I see some good things. I see some bad things. I don't really see any good quarterback play, if you ask me. I don't see the people that I would like to see getting opportunities to play quarterback. But you were making a point about the people that are catching the ball or lack of catching the ball. So elaborate on that a little bit for me.
Yeah, okay, the quarterback play is a little rusty. I heard they only had 5 weeks before the season to get their offense together.
That is true.
So they're getting better every week. But these receivers are not catching balls that they should catch. These receivers, it's not the NFL, but it's still a professional league. A lot of these balls need to be catched. That just tells me that you're not working during the off season. You weren't working when you didn't have a job as a football player to perfect your craft. Man, you got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. As the quarterbacks progress, so should the receiver. Because if the ball is where you should catch it, you need to catch the ball. It's too many drop balls. The defensive play is great in the league.
I agree. Defense seems like it's advanced well above the offense.
Right, and that's normal in leagues like this. I play a little semi-pro, or even if you go down a little league, defense is always going to progress quicker because it's not as complex as offense. There's not as many moving parts, so it's easier. You're reacting more versus you're making the move first. That's going to happen. But these receivers need to catch the ball to make the game a little bit more exciting.
Maybe if they stop having trash quarterbacks like Christian Hackenberg out there, maybe the receivers get better passes to catch. I'm seeing a lot of quarterbacks who the people want to see succeed and not quarterbacks who really need the opportunity. Christian Hackenberg, Garrett Gilbert, them boys sorry. And they keep getting to play. And to me, unfortunately, sometimes it's like, why are they out there? I know there's some talented players out there that should be at quarterback.
And that is the truth with Atlanta. The backup for Atlanta, hometown kid, he needs a shot. That Atlanta quarterback is so trash. I agree with that. But he did make some plays during the game that could have put them closer to a win. and those receivers drop those opportunities. Now, those opportunities will far and few in between, but once you get them and the ball's in your hand, you got to make the play, catch the ball first, secure the ball, run. It's just, I don't play receiver, and I know that, it's just something that you've been taught since you were a kid if you played the game, so they don't do that.
I do want to see something I don't see in this league, and I hope, well, I don't hope, I don't really care which league wins between the AAF and the XFL, but the offensives, to me, are not as exciting as I would want to see. I want to see some of that Sean McVay type offense that Andy Reid's and I forgot the offensive coordinator name, I'm sorry, in Kansas City. I want to see their offenses explosive, exciting.
Now, I think that will happen as time goes on, but one, you got to catch the ball first. I keep saying that catch the ball will get more exciting, but two, they didn't have a lot of time to prepare, and a lot of these offenses, they're going to be very vanilla starting out until they start to get cohesive with the basics, and then they can start to implement those things. I think that Orlando, the reason they have an edge on everybody is because they have the old ball coach, and he knows how to implement those things. Yeah, he knows how to do it with players who have not played together before, so he can create that cohesion a lot quicker than the rest of these coaches. So that's why Orlando is the team in the AAF that's taking off right now. So.
All right, we appreciate it, A-Train. Great talking to you. I want to thank A-Train for his contributions. I love talking to guys who are passionate about sports the way I am, and we could probably talk all day long, but Off the Cliff Sports is not an all day long podcast. I know you guys got things to do, but remember, this is a podcast, so you can go places and listen to it. You can work out and listen to it. Shout out to my cousin Roger Jones. You can work out and listen to the podcast also, FYI. It's getting dark where I'm at right now. It's getting really dark. Los Angeles is supposed to be a happy place. Beaches, sunshine, a lot of people eating healthy food like guacamole. I hate guacamole. It's not a taste for me. I would prefer tomatillo sauce or salsa. And when I say salsa, I'm not talking about diced tomatoes and onions. That's not salsa. But it's getting dark in LA, really dark, because it's the NBA season. And the Clippers are better than the Lakers. Wait, did I just say the Clippers are better than the Lakers? LeBron James plays for the Lakers. Now, earlier in the show, I told you I'm going to put this at a Defcon level 3. I never thought the Lakers had a chance to win the NBA title or get to the finals, even with LeBron James, because unfortunately, myself, I don't have the faith in those young players. Kuzma is nice. He's a nice player. I think since LeBron came back, he's averaging maybe 23 points a game. He's a very nice player. Brandon Ingram, to me, he's never developed into the player I thought he was going to be. I actually saw Brandon Ingram as a poor man's version of Kevin Durant. I think he has a similar body type, and I think he probably has the offensive skills that Durant has. But he's not developed into that type of player. He's developed more into a tall point guard who that's not what I saw him at, especially coming out of college. But right now, with LeBron back in the saddle, All-Star game over, we were looking for the Lakers to come out and grab that 8th spot and fight for the 7th spot in the playoffs. But lo and behold, this Laker team pretty much is still playing like they played before the All-Star break. They've had some terrible losses, which when you're down to 25 games and every game's important, some of these losses you can't have. I've heard some analysts say that to have a reasonable chance of making the playoffs, the Lakers need to go 4 out of their last 22 games. They need to win like 14 of them. I don't know if that's going to happen with the schedule they have. Right now, the Lakers are sitting in the 10th spot in the West, 3 games behind the Clippers for the 8th spot. Between the Clippers and the Lakers, though, you got the Kings, who are a game ahead of the Lakers. And I actually think the Lakers got to be careful for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who's a game and a half behind the Lakers. LeBron does seem like he doesn't have the same energy level, I guess I would say. Some games he's plays and like, oh, there's LeBron. But there's other games it's like he's there and he's not there. His defense, like a lot of people say, has been trash. He has not been playing defense at all. But there's something they really going to have to change. They really got to find a lineup that's going to work. I think they need to cut their rotation down to top 8. And in all honesty, I think they probably should have let Luke Walton go before the All-Star break. It was time to make a change and get this thing going in the right direction. Because right now, you can't really fire him right at this point. It'll be non-beneficial. But I don't think he's the coach that can get them where they need to be. I want to really see LeBron James with a veteran coach that he's never really had. I want to see him with a coach that's going to stand in his face and say, look, son, I did this before you. Although you're the best, I know a lot. So you have to listen sometime before you can lead. I love the King. I know he's the best player in this generation. But right now, what he's trying to do isn't happening. And the fiasco with Anthony Davis, and I see LeBron talking about it a lot, it's just not the way to go. It sounds like he's trying to win a title maybe, or purchase a title maybe. Although I don't think LeBron and Anthony Davis, the two of them, can dethrone the Warriors. Let's just be honest. I don't see the two of them able to beat the Warriors. Now, Anthony Davis, LeBron, and get somebody else to come in and help them out, it's possible. But Defcon 3 is where I'm going to put it at until otherwise. So we're either going to go to Defcon 4 and say the season's over, or we'll lower it to a Defcon 2 and say the King has responded. Well, we'll come back, guys. We're going to get our quick takes, and we're going to get our quote of the day, and then we're going to say hasta la vista. Remember, OfftheCliff-Sports, Instagram, OfftheCliff_Sports, Twitter, @Cliff_Sports. Go check it out. Like my pages. Comment. We'll be back in a minute. Cliff Jacks. Stay tuned. It's time for quick takes. Our first quick take is a very inspirational story. Tony Harris, a young lady who has become the first non-kicker to sign a national letter of intent to play college football. She's signing with Central Methodist University in Missouri. We've had a couple kickers, young ladies that are kickers, sign to play football, but this is the first skill position player. Now, Tony is 5'7", 164 pounds, and she plays safety. The past 2 years, she's actually been playing football at East Los Angeles College in California. So, this will be an interesting story that I know we're going to follow, and we all hope Tony the best. The position she plays, safety, is good because that means she most likely won't have to get down into the box and battle a lot of those big linemen that often. So that's a good thing for her. And she'll get to compete for passes, interceptions. I definitely watched a little footage, and hey, she's a baller. She plays ball the right way, and she has the confidence and the attitude to succeed. A quote from Tony: a lot of coaches didn't believe in me. A coach told me nobody's ever going to play you to be at the next level. In the end, you got to push yourself. I'm going to focus on my goals. That's a quote of Tony's. Tony Harris, good luck out there. We're cheering for you. The Off the Cliff Sports family definitely is cheering for you. We've reached the time of the year where the NFL brings in players. They check their skills, they check their weight, they check their heights. They put them through a crazy test that a lot of players bum out on because they freak out on the test. And you find some diamond in the roughs. Shaquille Griffin, the young man from Central Florida last year, went to Seattle where his brother plays football and turned out to be a pretty good story. He did actually get some playing time and wasn't bad. He has a lot of developing to do, of course, but he has some attributes that Seattle really liked, and I think he's going to be pretty good in this NFL league. But I have problems with the combine. They only invite a certain number of players. It sounds to me like if these young men have went to college, and the seniors especially have graduated, any senior athlete, football player that graduated college should have the opportunity to come and show their skills. That alone in itself, where you only invite a certain amount, shows me that this isn't really for the players. This whole scouting combine is for everybody except the players. We want to see certain people. We want to see people do this, people do that. And then when you find that guy that comes into the league that didn't get invited to the combine and he's that good, it's like, wow, how did we miss on him? You didn't invite him in the first place. That's how you missed on him. But I do want to wish all the athletes that are attending good luck, and all you guys that are not, don't give up your dreams, because if the NFL doesn't want you, you can always go to the AAF to prove yourself. Next year you'll have the XFL to prove yourself, and you have the Canadian League that's rolling right along up there where you can go and prove yourself. Doug Flutie played Canadian, then he came to the NFL and had a pretty good career. Anything's possible. Nobody is bigger than the game. Bringing us to our last final take. Jason Witten, ex-Cowboy, tied in, future Hall of Famer, future Cowboys Ring of Honor. Jason Witten on Wednesday, February 28th, decided that he's unretiring and returning to play football for the Cowboys. Why? Okay, Jason Witten was terrible on Monday Night Football. He's not Tony Romo when it comes to the broadcasting booth. I've never did an NFL game. I am doing this podcast, and I know for a fact I would have been better than Jason Witten. It seems like he probably can hold good conversations one-on-one, but the big stage like that just seems like he didn't fit. So I can see why he wanted to get out of the broadcasting booth. But going back to the football field, I don't know who I'm looking at more sideways. Am I looking at the Cowboys sideways, like, what are you thinking? Or am I looking at Jason Witten like, you want to give up millions to go make a few million to get pounded on, and most likely not going to get a Super Bowl championship? It's odd to me. And for the Cowboys to go out and pick up the veteran of this caliber when you need a tight end in the NFL of today. You need a tight end that can stretch the field. You need a tight end that can block some, but that can get down the field, beat the linebacker or beat the safety, and give your quarterback that next option. Jason Witten, 5 and outs. That's about it. Block and 5 and outs. That's what you get from Jason Witten. That's what they got from Jason Witten in the past 2 to 3 years. Bad decision on whoever made this decision, especially in the Cowboys organization. You're setting Dak Prescott back, but maybe that's the plan. Give Dak Prescott weapons that he can't succeed with, and you don't have to pay him as much. Who knows what Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and the rest of that brain trust is thinking? I have no clue what they're thinking. But those are the Dallas Cowboys. They are the football team that's worth the most in the NFL. Over $1 billion more than the next closest team. Jerry knows business. All right, guys, now it's time for one of my favorite segments because it helps bring knowledge to myself, and I hope it brings a little bit to you as well. Our quote of the day. Our quote comes from Hall of Fame NFL coach Tony Dungy. I just think winners win. And guys who won all the way through high school and college, the best player at every level, they have a way of making things happen and winning games. That quote again from Tony Dungy. I just think winners win. And guys who won all the way through high school and college, the best player at every level, they have a way of making things happen and winning games. That's the quote from Hall of Fame coach Tony Dungy. Remember, guys, once we get up to 65 followers on Twitter, we're going to give away a gift card to one lucky listener. We appreciate everyone listening. Please tell your colleagues, your friends, your family, tune in to Off the Cliff Sports. They will be entertained. This is Cliff Jacks. I want to thank you for listening. Be sure to catch us every week. And love, peace, and happiness to you and yours. Peace. We're out.